Final Four is almost here, and to help us figure out who is going to win the national championship this season, we've got another true ball knower here this week. We've got Nick Bateman, at Nick During the Day on TikTok, at Nick Bateman 33 on Twitter. Nick, I appreciate you hopping on to dig into this. There is seemingly an assumption that we're going to get Arizona versus Michigan in the Final Four, or in the national championship rather. And I'm trying to dissect what the real issues are for these teams that could hold them back. It seems like for Arizona, the whole Tommy Lloyd situation with him maybe taking the UNC job could be creeping up on him. Are you at all buying into that maybe distracting the team, or do you think that it's nothing to worry about?
I'm so curious about what's actually happening. You know what I mean? Like he's either brilliantly playing leverage, but if he is, then why is it's obviously going to create a distraction for his team. So why would he do that? Or he's afraid to say, I'm not taking the job, because he is taking the job. That's where I lean. Like, I think that's more likely than not at this point. There's a lot of people talking about Billy Donovan. I'm pretty sure he's the favorite on any like prediction market. I find that hard to believe a little bit. I think it's going to be Tommy Lloyd, and I think that it is kind of a distraction. But if it is Tommy Lloyd, the way he's handling it, saying like, I am fully focused on this team, I do believe that he is. I believe that in this new era of, the transfer portal and the NIL world, the Jaden Bradleys, the Mo Krivats, like these guys aren't mad at Tommy Lloyd as long as he is focused on winning a championship right now. I think he is, but it's all hearsay. I could be totally wrong. We could be, he could sign an extension tomorrow with Arizona. Who knows?
I think the one thing that's like stood out to me every time I see a clip of him, he seems like he's getting increasingly more irritated by the questions. And to what you point out, there has not been a clear statement, I am not taking the UNC job, unless I missed it, that he said those words not. Exactly. I don't think that we're getting a Lane Kiffin situation. That's obviously not going to happen here, because he would have done it already, and he's not going to do it a couple days before the game. But it's funny how coaches seemingly have no idea how to operate when they clearly know what their intentions are. And to your point, I think even if you're going to try and leverage this for an extension, it's still a distraction. Yeah. Like just come out and say no. I don't get why that nobody advises them just to say straight up no.
Well, so take Kevin Willard last year as an example. In the tournament, leading into the Sweet 16 game, where I think Maryland was playing that Florida team that won it all, he was giving the most cryptic press conferences of all time. Honestly, he was attacking his own athletic director, and a lot of people were like, this is a clear leverage play. But the majority of people were like, he's out of there, and he's leaving now. And they lost to Florida by a lot, and then he left for Villanova pretty much immediately after. So in my head, it's like, if there is any sort of drama with these pressers, especially in the tournament, it kind of feels like the conspiracy is usually correct. Like we're not going crazy by assuming that Tommy Lloyd might go to UNC. It's probably going to happen.
Now, their opponent, Michigan, in their matchup this Saturday, equal to Arizona in the sense that they've just been blowing everybody out in the tournament. But the one thing almost feels like we turned the page really quickly off of them losing the Big Ten championship game. Do you think that the Big Ten championship game might have revealed some issues with this Michigan squad that could catch up to them either in this game or if they were to advance in the national championship?
I mean, it's just so hard to say, because Michigan's played so dominantly at times this year, where they have this vibe around them where it's like they can't lose. And if they do, then it's like this vulnerability that adds a concern. But like, teams are going to lose in college basketball. There's going to be, weird like lack of preparation one day, or your star player just slept for 2 hours, and like weird things are going to happen. I think Purdue played great in that game, and Michigan like kind of was just outclassed, but I'm not worried about like a vulnerable, like this secret vulnerability that Michigan all of a sudden has. I feel like they are pretty much the scariest team without question in the tournament. And really, outside of like 2024 UConn, one of the scariest, most explosive offenses since like 1991 Loyola Marymount. Like this is they can belittle you just with a nuclear like fast break level 20-2 run where you're just so degraded that you mentally there's nothing you can do about it. And Arizona doesn't have that. Like it's so different. So I just really don't like Arizona can't defend that either. They don't have the transition stopping superpower needed to defend Michigan. So I'm not worried about Michigan. I don't think they're exposable really in any sense, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's been kind of hard to get the temperature on which of these two teams that has seemingly been so hard to stop, like who ends up pushing past them. But on the other side of the bracket, we've got an Illinois team that it feels like not many people knew what to expect. I feel like a lot of people didn't have an anticipation that they were going to play as well as they did against Houston, beat them, and then let alone dominate them the way that they did. I feel like they are, for the casual fan, a team that not many people know about, and people are getting caught up now. Brad Underwood has put together this hilarious team of like really heavily European guys, and it's really interesting to watch them play. What ways do you see the roster construction that Underwood put together here that maybe gives them an edge if they beat UConn and they went to the national title?
Well, first of all, they're the tallest team in Division I, right? By a decent chunk. Their average height is just under 6'9". So one of the reasons why I loved them against Houston and any team that sort of hedges ball screens like they beat Texas Tech earlier in the season, they're too tall to blitz the way that Houston blitzes. Keaton Wagler at 6'6", like you have these 7'1" guys down low. They like to space the floor. You have to protect the gaps. Houston's going to blitz out, kind of play 4-on-5 ball. Illinois is going to pick that apart a little bit. They've kind of picked it apart all season long. UConn isn't as aggressive in their blitzing necessarily, but they still run the exact same defensive scheme. So just the height overall is such a good counter to like just how a lot of these modern defenses are trying to stop an offense as powerful as Illinois. But I don't think you can really stop this offense. It's number one on KenPom for a reason.
The last thing I want to get to here is this figuring out this UConn team. So I played football at Rhode Island, and I was there when Dan Hurley was there, and he was being like, just seeing him in the hallway and understanding who he is now. He was equally as intense then. He would never make eye contact with anyone. He always had headphones in. He was always looking, just a weird dude. And I kind of respect the hell out of him for being so intensely focused. I think that just the simple question here is that should we not count him out? And maybe like what's separating him that even in a year where it feels like this UConn team is so inconsistent, where one game they'll look super dominant, they'll do what they did against Duke, they'll get their asses kicked another game like they did in the Big East championship game. What separates Hurley, and would we be silly to count them out completely from possibly pulling this off and winning the title?
Yeah, 100%. Anyone would be silly to count out UConn from winning the national title. Like they're 18-1, I think, past the Sweet 16 or whatever that stat is. There's an energy around not only a Dan Hurley coached team, like you were kind of alluding to, where it's just this intense, boosted level of competitiveness that a lot of teams, like you go in with a game plan, you think like, oh, we got Terrace Reed in foul trouble. Like, yes, that was a big goal for us. And you have no idea what's coming. The adjustments that are coming, the grit down and bunker in, push up on picket fences type of vibe. Like it fires me up really thinking about it. So you cannot count them out. And I, on Twitter, tweeted about my Final Four score predictions because I do like Illinois in this game. So I was like, well, maybe this will stir the pot a little bit in an engagement sense, but I like Illinois by 10 plus. And I know full well that is the boldest thing you could ever say, right? Because UConn, even if they lose, the odds of them losing by 10 plus, Hurley would have to be outcoached by Brad Underwood, who is not keen on in-game adjustments himself. One of the reasons why 2 years ago UConn went on a 32-0 run against Illinois is because Underwood refused to fix the problem. You know what I mean? It's like, well, our game plan was our game plan for a reason. So we're not going to. So I think if UConn wins, it's going to take a good shooting day, because I think Illinois is susceptible to a really good 3-point shooting teams like Alabama beat them in the non-con, Nebraska beat them in Champaign, and Wisconsin beat them in overtime twice, once in February, once in the Big Ten tournament. These teams love kind of just run and gun chucking. UConn, not a run and gun chucking team, but if they shoot 45% from three, they're going to win the game. Right. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing would just be, if Illinois is up 10 at any point, we're going to see adjustments from Hurley. Will Illinois counter it? Probably not. You know what I mean? So it's the game plan is going to have to be really good for Illinois. And then the talent difference, which I think favors Illinois big time, is just it's going to have to widen almost for Illinois to win.
It's going to be a super exciting weekend. Nick, I know that you're going to have a ton of great coverage. You were just telling me that you're ramping up and you're doing all your final prep here. What content can people maybe expect from you during the weekend here? Anything that you've got coming up?
Yeah, well, I'm going to do my Final Four breakdown videos later today, right? With almost 4 hours, the next 4 hours. My newsletter just came out. You'll be able to find that in the link in my TikTok bio or Twitter bio, but that is I recommend reading it if you're curious about just the nerdiest breakdown of all time. And then, we're just going to probably try to have fun with it, because it is the Final Four and this is college basketball and it's my favorite thing in the world. And I try to remind myself never to take it too seriously so I can enjoy it as you know what I mean?
As someone who does that with college football and me covering it, that is something that's so easy to miss is you get too serious with looking at the game. Sometimes it's hard to just relax and enjoy watching it. But I'm going to definitely go ahead. We're going to say, go ahead.
I just completely agree with you, right? I write up this newsletter, and as I'm doing it, I'm I don't want to think of any of this when I'm watching. You know what I mean? I want to be wowed. I want to be surprised. I want to be viewing it with a non-analytical mind. But at the same time, this is my job. So,
yeah, it's going to be super fun. Everybody go and check out Nick's newsletter and his social channels. If you're not already following Nick and you want to be all caught up on the games, you are making a huge mistake. One of the best accounts out there. Nick, this was so great getting to chat and catch up, and we'll see what happens.
Yes, sir, man. Thanks for having me on. And then we'll keep in touch.